Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to today's video. This episode will guide you through the issues of the Uncanny X-Men published by Marvel Comics in 1984. Issue 181. Issue 180. In the previous issue, we saw how a new character entered the scene in the form of a new Spider-Woman. After getting to know her a little, the heroes got surprised by the villains who dumped the lifeless body of the Wasp right in front of them. The village healer Shashi tried to help out, but to no avail. Angry with the death of the Wasp, the heroes wanted revenge, but Captain America told them no. Whatever it is Galactus is doing is too much of a threat to just up and leave, and the She-Hulk angrily walked off to embark on a mission on her own. Some of the X-Men and Doom Strike Force both left the scene of the previous battle, and the rest of the X-Men were planning to meet up with the others, trying to catch up to the villains to finish the job, namely taking out this group of villains. Volcana asked the Enchantress for a favor, and she was able to join up with Doom Strike Force. And after the villain's ship got struck down, another huge battle ensued. Dr. Doom, still wandering around inside Galactus' homeworld ship, got forcibly expelled from it by Galactus himself, leaving him barely alive. The rest of the villains arrived back at Doombase and tried to recuperate, only to get attacked by the She-Hulk who made her way inside of Doombase. Picking them off one by one, the She-Hulk's rampage eventually got put to a halt by Titania, and the rest of the villains started ganging up on her, not pulling a single punch. A ravaged Dr. Doom made his way back to Doombase, still smoldering and barely capable of standing. Captain America got told that the She-Hulk is missing, and was asked if they could cast a vote whether to go after the villains, but he again told them no. In the meantime, the X-Men Colossus saw how the healer Shashi stepped out of the Wasp's hut and passed out, barely breathing. Captain America then got told by Professor Xavier that the X-Men would keep an eye on Galactus, giving the heroes a break from standing guard, and Cap could tell the rest of his heroic companions that they will now be able to assemble and attack those villainous butchers. And we now continue the story with Secret Wars, issue number 8. It is time for revenge. 11 of Earth's most formidable superheroes have made their way to the villain's stronghold to avenge the death of one of their own, and quite possibly a second one. Enraged with the way the wrecking crew dropped the Wasp's corpse on their doorstep, and with the seemingly passive approach of the rest of the heroes after that, the She-Hulk decided to act on her own. To set out and seek revenge on the villains who killed her friend and teammate, destroying everything in her path and pummeling the villains one after the other, it eventually became too much for her to handle. And unbeknownst to the 11 heroes who are coming to aid her, she is currently getting beat up by 7 of the most deadliest and strongest villains, and is on the brink of death. When the heroes, Captain Marvel, the Hulk, Thor, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, The Thing, Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man, Captain America, Hawkeye and the Human Torch arrive at the massive fortress of Dr. Doom, they are surprised they have not been detected and gotten attacked yet. Thor uses his hammer Mjolnir to break through the outer walls of the fortress to allow them entry into it. And at that exact moment, the villainous Enchantress can sense what's going on. Even though drunk on meat, she is still able to conjure up a vision of what's happening outside. And as she sees the Asgardian god Thor, she thinks back to how she was almost successful in seducing him, after he had tried to make her switch sides in this war on a distant planet. As she tries to stand up and wonders about what would have happened if they had not gotten interrupted, she basically trips on the first step she takes, ending up on the floor, drenched in her own drink. So much for the mighty Enchantress. Somewhere else in the fortress, in the infirmary to be exact, Volcana is watching over the Molecule Man, who got injured real bad during a battle with the X-Men. If anyone dares to get close to Owen, Marcia swears that she will kill that person, especially if it's Wolverine, who sliced Owen right open. Something Marcia will make sure that Wolverine will pay for. Somewhere else again, over in the fortress's dungeons, Claw releases the lizard from captivity. And once released, the lizard demands to know who this person is. And after having introduced himself, Claw explains that because he himself had been trapped up until not that long ago, he could not stand seeing the lizard incarcerated. In another chamber, the villains who encountered the She-Hulk are still bludgeoning her unmoving body. And they have been at it for a while, not pulling any punches. The only reason they are holding back their strikes right now is because they can hear the sound of thunder coming from outside. The Absorbing Man concludes that it has to be Thor's hammer, and that the heroes are trying to bust into the fortress. Planning to lay an ambush for them, they rush out of the room, but not before Dr. Octopus delivers a coup de grace to the She-Hulk. He picks her up with his bionic tentacles and smashes her headfirst into a metal beam and drops her on the floor. Some distance away, but still inside the fortress, the invulnerable Ultron stands guard at the door to Doctor Doom's quarters, where, on his bed, the seared and tattered ruin of Doctor Doom lies. The one man who dared to invade the homeworld ship of the all-powerful Galactus, and paid the price for that arrogance dearly. And meanwhile, the heroes are storming the fortress. Captain Marvel speeds ahead to search for the She-Hulk. In her light beam form, she is by far the fastest of them all. And the other heroes will start flushing out the villains. But only meters in, Iron Man gets ambushed by the Wrecker, who strikes him with his crowbar out of nowhere. Iron Man reacts quickly and takes out the Wrecker with his repulsor ray. It is a good thing that Iron Man was taking the lead, since the brute force from the Wrecker's crowbar got mostly absorbed by his armor. If it had been anyone else, the damage inflicted would have been a whole lot worse. The rest of the villains have joined the welcoming committee and start attacking the heroes. Dr. Octopus breaks one of the water basins and dumps the water on the torch, which douses his flames and makes him fall. Mr. Fantastic uses his elongating power so he's able to catch his teammate, but they get attacked by bulldozers straight away. Spider-Man intervenes and, to the Absorbing Man's surprise, knocks Bulldozer out with but a single punch. Crusher Creel thinks it's best for him to absorb the properties of the alien steel beside him, to provide himself with more strength and durability before attacking the web slinger. He starts swinging his ball and chain and aims for Spider-Man, who is only barely able to jump out of harm's way thanks to his spider sense, which warns him of incoming danger. It was a close call though, since even though Spidey dodged the full brunt of Creel's attack, it did rip up his costume. The force with which the Absorbing Man swung his ball and chain wrecked an entire column of the alien material. Benjamin Grimm, the Thing, then attacks the Absorbing Man, telling him to pick on someone his own size. But as fate would have it, the Thing unwillingly reverts back to his human form again at the worst possible time. Luckily for Ben, Spider-Woman sees this happen and rescues him from whatever it was the Absorbing Man had planned for him. Spider-Woman picks the Absorbing Man up and smashes him into a wall with so much force he actually gets stuck inside the metal wall. And before Creel is done issuing his threats with what he will do to her once he peels himself free, she launches his ball and chain right into his face, and he gets knocked out cold. Piledriver, who now makes his way towards Spider-Woman, gets warned by Hawkeye to stay back. As he shifts his attention towards Hawkeye, Piledriver starts mocking him, telling him that he's not of much use if he keeps missing his arrows. And even if he would hit him, Piledriver's super strong hide would not get dented since bullets cannot hurt him either. Hawkeye then tells Piledriver that those arrows which he missed were only warning shots, that arrows from his bow would hit a lot harder than bullets would at this closer range, and asks him to please back off. Piledriver just laughs at him, and immediately finds out that Clint wasn't joking at all, and he shoots his last arrow straight at him and it punctures Piledriver's shoulder alright. Nearby, the Incredible Hulk is smashing his way through the walls of the Enchantress's lair. not sure what he should do now with this woman standing in front of him, leaves the door open for the enchantress to start seducing him and use her spells on him. And in no time at all, the Hulk is literally falling asleep. Captain America, who followed in the Hulk's footsteps, is now face to face with the enchantress as well, asking her what she has done to the Hulk. As the enchantress starts explaining and tries to use the same kind of seduction on Cap, she soon finds out that Cap's will is way too strong and uncorruptible, so she reverts to blasting him with her magic. But she can't seem to hit him though. Whatever kinds of blasts she keeps firing at him, he keeps evading, until he ends up right in front of her. She then tries her seductions on him once more, asking him if he would really strike her. Cap's response is that he wouldn't, if he had any other choice, and he shoves his shield right into her face and she falls on the floor as well, knocked out cold. The Human Torch, who only just entered the room, sees two bodies lying on the floor and asks what happened here. Captain America tells him that there's no time to explain, but that he's going to try and locate Dr. Doom, and the Human Torch, who is starting to get his flaming powers back, will join him. In the meantime, Titania is trying to push a huge metal beam from one of the structures, wanting to drop it on top of the hero standing below. But she gets stopped by Spider-Man and they end up in a fight with one another. It's going to be a battle of brute strength, agility, frustrations and wits. Somewhere else in the fortress, Hawkeye and the Thing meet up, and they find out that the battle seems to have left them behind. Not knowing where everyone went, nor what the layout of this base is, they decide to enter a certain corridor and they will find out what they will come across. And after having traveled about 900 yards, they run into Claw. Ben being familiar with Claw, he knows just how dangerous his sonic powers are. And with Ben being in his human form, and Hawkeye having run out of arrows, they will have to come up with a plan before they can attack him. But they won't come that far, because the lizard sneaked up on them from behind, and with the two of them having no superpowers to rely on, they are in big trouble. At that moment in the infirmary, Marcia is getting ready to attack the approaching intruders. Whoever shows his face through the door first will get his face fried. Owen then starts speaking again, and he tells Marcia that he doesn't need her protection, but they will annihilate anyone who comes in together. And as Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, Thor and Spider-Woman walk around the corner, Volcana unleashes her full power, making them fall back. But only for a second, because Iron Man meets the plasma-generated heat blasting out of Volcana's hands head-on. With Iron Man getting close to Volcana, the Molecule Man fuses the molecules in the air and makes an air shield to protect the woman he fell in love with. But Volcana tells him to make her some holes in the shield through which she can finish the job. He does so and she starts blasting. Iron Man's armor is smoldering, and several of its interior circuitry is fried. Mr. Fantastic uses his stretching powers to quickly grab Iron Man out of harm's way, but he burns his hands on Iron Man's armor in the process. Thor throws his hammer at the shield, but it bounces right off. Volcana is getting frustrated because she missed, and the Molecule Man tells her it's alright, because they are safe inside the shield and they can easily pick them off one by one. But they did not count on Captain Marvel being able to bypass the shield. Made out of pure energy, all she had to do was change into the right form of energy. She grabs the Molecule Man in a stranglehold, and with Owen screaming, Marcia reverts back to her human form, telling Captain Marvel to stop it, because she's pulling his wounds open again. Owen passes out from the pain, and Marcia surrenders. And with the Molecule Man out cold again, the shield is now gone. Meanwhile, the battle between Titania and Spider-Man is still going on. Titania is puzzled by the speed and agility with which Spidey is jumping around. Whether she tries to slam him with huge chunks of debris or simply tries to punch him, it makes no difference. Spider-Man tells her that he only needs little room to operate. No one can lay a glove on him. Not the X-Men, not the Absorbing Man, and not her. And he evades another one of her attacks. He jumps right behind her and while still in midair, kicks her in the back, slamming her face into a wall. And Titania is getting more and more frustrated the longer this continues. She tries to punch him but keeps getting hit herself, over and over again. She starts complaining how this is not fair and tells him to stop it, but Spider-Man keeps attacking and taunting her. He then grabs her by one of her legs and throws her across the area they are in, right through one of the walls. She's falling downward and ends up on the ground below, and as she tries to stand up again, she mumbles how this is not fair. And she passes out from the punishment she has gotten at the hands of the Amazing Spider-Man. At that same moment, Captain America and the Human Torch find the villain piledriver lying on the floor, just how Hawkeye left him behind, with one of his arrows sticking out from his shoulder still. Cap tries to warn Johnny to look out, and it's only just in time as he's almost getting blasted by the extremely durable robot which is hosting an artificial intelligence called Ultron. With him being here, Captain America figures Dr. Doom must be close by, since Ultron has been operating as Doom's personal bodyguard. Both of them are now getting attacked by Ultron at the same time. Cap tells the Torch to be careful and to not get close to him, but Johnny does so anyways and unleashes his own powerful fire blast at the robot. But to his surprise, Ultron's body is not melting. Ultron tells him that not even the hottest star would be able to melt his adamantium body. Nothing can harm him. He, in his own words, is perfect. Ultron then grabs the Torch by his ankle and tells him they will now find out how durable Johnny himself is. Cap urges Johnny to use his most intense Nova Flame, but Johnny tells him that Cap himself is too close and that he would get killed as well. Captain America then orders the Torch to do it, to not hold back and give it everything he's got, as he himself quickly crouches behind his vibranium shield, hoping it will protect him from the Torch's Nova Blast. The whole room starts glowing white hot, as Johnny unleashes his full power, and once the flash is over, Cap sees the entire part of the room where Ultron and the Torch were standing being melted to a still smoldering slag of fused together materials. Cap calls out for the Torch hoping to get some kind of response. And he gets one. Johnny is still alive. Sunken into the floor, Cap sees both Johnny and Ultron lying on top of some of the solidified slag. Johnny tells him that he's alright. Apparently, even the Torch's Nova Blast was still not able to melt Ultron's adamantium hide. But he guesses some non-adamantium components inside the robot got fried, resulting in Ultron being defeated. But Johnny is now tired, wasted even. He put every bit of energy he had in him in this Nova Blast of his. Cap tells him that he did well and that he should just rest here for a couple of minutes, while he himself will continue the search for Dr. Doom. And only seconds later he finds him. Dr. Doom's armor itself is also still smoldering. Not from the Torch's Nova Blast, but from the attack he had to endure from Galactus not that long ago. As Cap approaches him, he tells him it looks like it has come down to just the two of them now, which is just the way it ought to be. But Dr. Doom is not listening to a word Captain America says. And when Cap realizes this, he takes a good look at Dr. Doom. Whatever it is that has happened to Doom, he looks barely alive and completely out of it. As it seems, Dr. Doom, in his current state, is harmless. And speaking of harmless, over at Doombase's dungeon, the rest of the worn-out from battle heroes find both Hawkeye and the Thing, playing a game of patty cake with the two villains with the most basal and deranged minds, the Lizard and Claw. The two heroes with no superpowers nor weapons or ammunition have found a way to keep these two villains occupied until the others would arrive. Even though he's being outnumbered, the Lizard warns the heroes to not disturb their games or he will destroy them. Once their games are done, both Claw and him will do as they say. In a different part of Doombase, Captain Marvel has found the place where the She-Hulk was left behind for dead. And Monica immediately tends to Jennifer. Knowing how strong and durable the She-Hulk is, she is shocked to see what state she is in, and wonders what the villains have done to her. Monica takes Jennifer back to the infirmary, so Reed Richards can do whatever it is he can do to save the She-Hulk's life. He is joined by Captain America and they discuss the amount of injuries there are on both sides. All of the heroes and villains with injuries, apart from Doctor Doom and Mr. Fantastic himself, are put in the alien cell regenerative devices. Mr. Fantastic's injured hands are doing well enough, and Doctor Doom's armor, or what's left of it, prevents the devices from working on him. If they were to remove the armor, it would probably take weeks, and it's most likely even booby-trapped. So for the time being, Thor will just be putting him in his holding cell. Reed then tells Steve about how Doom died back on Earth, quite some time before they were all brought here to this makeshift alien world. Even though nothing really surprises Reed anymore with all that he's seen here, he is curious about how Doctor Doom is now alive again. Steve tells Reed that he's amazed that the She-Hulk survived the beating she must have gotten. They two both know how strong and durable the She-Hulk is, and Reed tells Steve that if it gotten to her seconds later, not even this technology would have been able to save her. Reed says he would have loved to have the time to analyze these devices and learn the secrets they hold, but for now he's content with just being able to use them to save Jennifer. Losing one Avenger is already too much to bear. Cap then confides into Reed by saying that he can't help but to think that if he had made some decisions differently, the Wasp would not have died. Reed tells Cap to not torture himself like that things happened the way they did, and that no one else could have led the heroes better or more wisely than he has done. Over at the dungeons, Thor, Hawkeye, Captain Marvel, Spider-Woman and the Hulk are making sure all the villains are properly placed in their holding cells. Even though the restraints used are a little nasty, they are efficient, Captain Marvel says. The Hulk mentions that he wouldn't mind if the Enchantress suffers a little, but he soon realizes that he's actually mostly mad at himself. Thor tells Bruce that he should not be so hard on himself, because many men have been beguiled by her, and even Thor himself has. More than once even. Hawkeye tells everyone that him and Captain Marvel are going back to the village, which was their encampment until a few hours ago. Since the heroes are claiming Doombase as theirs now, they are going to move the Wasp body to this place. They want Janet to have a proper burial, with honor worthy of an Avenger. Over at said village, the X-Man called Colossus is running through the streets while carrying Shashi's body. Piotr saw her collapse only moments ago when she stepped out of the hut where the Wasp body is located. He doesn't know what happened to her, but he can tell that she's on the edge of death. He takes her to her own hut and tells her to rest easy. Shashi cared for him when he was wounded, and he will now take care of her and will not leave her side. Piotr wishes he had the same power as she does, so that he could now heal her. If only she could tell him what's wrong with her. He looks around the hut and then wonders if the bottle that he's seeing is the one the Human Torch spoke about. The one containing vapors which link their minds as one. He takes the lid off, and the vapors immediately start diffusing through the air in the hut. The odor is piercing yet sweet, and Colossus can already tell that it's working. And suddenly the images of Shashi's unconscious mind are his to behold. Both of their memories become one, and he starts piecing together recent events. He sees how Shashi is examining the Wasp's still and cold body and feels her anguish. He witnesses the rage and grief of the assembled heroes and sees once more how they fly off seeking vengeance. And then he sees how Shashi pours all of her healing powers, her strength and vitality into Janet's savaged and wounded body. And Piotr then realizes the truth, namely the fact that the Wasp was not dead at all. Wounded heavily, yes, but not dead, merely in some kind of death-like stasis. And Shashi was able to heal her wounds and save Janet's life, at the cost of nearly ending her own. Sacrificing everything for a stranger from another world. Colossus, still holding Shashi and being amazed with her selfless act, doubts that there can be anyone like her on any of the planets in all of creation. And he tells his beloved and beautiful woman to just sleep for now. In the meantime, both Clint and Monica come to the same shocking realization as Colossus just did. They cannot believe their eyes. The Wasp is indeed alive and well. Janet tells Hawkeye and Captain Marvel that she supposes it's due to Shashi's healing power. And she then becomes aware of the fact that she's not wearing any makeup and that her hair must be messy. And with that notion, Clint and Monica can be sure that Janet is truly her old self again. Several miles removed from the village, in a skycraft resting on a mountain ledge, the X-Men and their oldest foe, who has now become their ally Magneto, are keeping a tense vigil over whatever it is Galactus is doing. Magneto suggests that it might all just be a ruse, a form of bluff Galactus is doing. Maybe he never truly intends to use his world-devouring device, but is instead planning some other deadly attack. Professor Charles Xavier is keeping all options open, and Cyclops informs him there are still no measurable energy fluctuations. Xavier tells him to keep scanning, because whatever it is Galactus is doing, whether he's bluffing or not, should be considered a threat. Xavier swore to Captain America that they would stand guard, and Xavier stands by his word. Cyclops then points and urgently tells everyone to look. Meanwhile, back at Doctor Doom's former base, the heroes Mr. Fantastic and Iron Man are having a talk, while Mr. Fantastic is repairing Iron Man's armor. Reed tells Iron Man that even though he's impressed with the sophistication of the armor as it is, he could give it an upgrade with all the advanced alien technology at his disposal. James asks Reed, out of curiosity, if he was surprised to find a black man inside the Iron Man armor. And Reed answers that he never gave it a thought actually. He simply knew that there was a man underneath the armor. Somewhere else in the base, Spider-Man sees Thor and the Hulk stepping out of a room, and Thor is surprisingly wearing his cape and helmet again. Apparently the Hulk found a device inside the room which can produce any sort of cloth or clothing you want. All it takes is thinking about whatever you want and it produces it. Spidey could use a new costume as well, since his current one got all kinds of tears in it. So he steps into the room and goes looking for the device they were telling him about. Not sure which one of the devices it is, he eventually finds one which must be it. He takes a seat, places his head underneath the canopy and starts to concentrate. But all it produces is a small black ball, and when he picks it up, his spider sense immediately starts tingling. Since his spider sense only alerts him of incoming danger, he figures he'd best get rid of it. But the black material starts moving itself up his arm. Not sure what this stuff is, Spider-Man is starting to get worried. And soon enough, his entire body is covered in this black material. This black stuff became his new costume. No tears anymore and different than his previous costume. Peter wonders why the device did not make a costume resembling his old one, since that was what he was thinking of. He figures that he was probably inspired by the new Spider-Woman suit and that he must have been subconsciously thinking about its design. And then the whole room starts to shake, and he thinks to himself that this must be a planet-wide earthquake. But it is actually far worse than that, because at that exact time, Captain America gets telepathically hailed by Professor Xavier. And all the heroes will have to come at once, because what they feared has indeed begun. Galactus is devouring the planet. Thanks for watching this video and I hope you enjoyed it. You can help growing this channel by liking, subscribing and sharing. This tells YouTube that the videos I'm making should be recommended to others and would be very much appreciated. See you next episode.